What is public speaking? Well, thank you for typing this in because I'm excited to tell you about the fact that speaking is one of the greatest things you can learn how to do. It's exciting, it's powerful, it'll change your life, and at the same time, we're going to demystify some of the theories and some of the things that make people worried about public speaking. You're in good hands. I'm a Hall of Fame speaker. I'm excited to take you through this. Thanks for joining me. Have you ever felt the nerves kick in when you have to take the stage or you're about to take it? A lot of people are nervous before speaking. In fact, there are jokes about the fact that, I think it was Seinfeld who said, that speaking is the #1 fear in the world ahead of even death, and that the person giving the eulogy would rather be in the coffin, something like that. I want you to know, you don't need to be worried about it. The fact is that when you have the opportunity to get on stage, as long as you do a couple of these things that I'm going to tell you, you'll do great. So let's first talk about demystifying public speaking. So public speaking is the art of communicating a message with style, with grace, with content in front of a large or small audience. You have the opportunity to do that, you're in luck. Most people don't think of this as a lucky state to be in, but the truth is, this is a great opportunity. It means you have something to say and they trust you with the microphone. And so they call it the privilege of the platform. I don't remember where that phrase started, but I love it. The privilege of the platform, it's an important place to be. So here we go. It's not just about saying words. It's about having influence. It's about creating an opportunity for others to understand that they can do something great as well. When we stand on a stage and we are a public speaker, we have the time and the opportunity to give everybody in that audience something they maybe have never seen or heard before. You have ideas that are unique. You have skills and talents that are incredible that only you can do. Are you going to be able to share them within your speech? I hope you will, and you'll commit to it by keeping the promise. So let's overcome some common misconceptions about speaking. A lot of people think you have to be born to be a great speaker, that's just a natural, innate talent. The truth is, there are very few people who are naturally gifted as really competent, great speakers. Yes, there are people that are good on stage. Yes, there's good performers and people that can do comedy or dance or do music. That's great. But think about it this way. The people that practice get better. The people that practice with a coach get even better than that. And so you don't have to be born a great speaker. You can become a great speaker. I believe a lot of it comes from the way that you live your life, the amount of learning you're willing to do, how far you're willing to fail in order to succeed. In other words, taking a chance, risking a little bit, seeing if something will work in front of an audience. Yeah, there's something really exciting about that when it comes to standing in front of a group, because they have no idea what you're about to do or say, and you have a great chance to give them something that they're never going to forget. So the fear of public speaking is common. A lot of people have that going on. And if you've got that, that's okay. Here's what I want you to think about. Most people in that audience don't want to be on stage. Remember that. The other one, sit in the back and watch everyone come in. Because guess what's going to happen? You're going to watch that every person is a normal human being. You're going to see that they actually are glad they're not on stage. And then remember this. People want you to succeed. We actually don't want to see somebody fail up there in terms of a train wreck type of experience. I believe that people are cheering you on in their minds, whether you believe it or not. Yes, you have to get to that mindset. That is a place to say, I can turn this fear into a way that I can put myself out there and have success. When I say fail frequently, all that I mean is to try things out, new stories, new anecdotes, maybe a quote. Even messing up is okay, because that'll help you to not mess up as much next time. Another thing I want you to realize, you don't need to memorize the speech unless they tell you it's a part of an assignment and you can't pass without it. I love getting on stage and having notes. In fact, for this video, guess what? I have notes. That's Pee Wee Herman. But yes, I have notes. I want you to know when you get on stage, you should be okay with having some notes. Here's what you don't do. Don't read it. That's bad. Look down, capture it, and then say it. That's a great way to overcome the fear of public speaking, because here's what happens when you look down. It disconnects you from the fear of the audience, and then you can look back up and face them again. And then as you look down and back up, This allows for you to have a pause in your thinking in order to give you the chance to get through the speech. I hope that helps. Let's talk about the essence of effective communication. Understanding your audience is a big part of that. So talking to the person who asked you to speak prior, and you just say, what does this audience need to hear? Then your mind shifts to the audience instead of yourself. Here's what mostly happens. When you're fearful to get on a stage, it's because you're thinking about who? Yourself. Yeah. So when you're thinking about yourself, you're thinking, oh, I hope I look okay. I hope I sound okay. I hope I don't mess up. Oh boy. Well, now let's shift the mindset to the audience. If you're there to give them something that no one else can, if you know someone in the audience is needing what you have to say, then you make it about them. It's not about you. The best speakers and the best public speakers are the ones who make it about the audience. And they're not worried about how they're coming across, how they look. They've already done the work, so they're ready. They're prepared. But when you make it about the audience, it makes it so the fear goes away. Let's also talk about adaptability. You're going to be in situations where they ask you to speak, and you're going to have to change things on the fly. Maybe you prepared a slideshow or some presentation, and now you can't use your computer. What are you going to do? Or the microphone's not working. What are you going to do? Are there still ways that you can be adaptable in this situation? The best part about public speaking, in my opinion, is that the audience really does want you to succeed. I absolutely believe it, and I'll keep saying it over and over again. I believe that when an audience sees us in a precarious situation, for example, recently, I was at a performance and presentation where the microphone stopped working. I would be speaking, and then all of a sudden, and then it would cut back out, and then it would stop. It was like that for the first few minutes. And I would say something like, it's important for you to realize that, and that, it was a disaster. What did I do? Well, I didn't want to make the audiovisual people feel bad. I didn't, even though maybe it was their fault, they didn't put a new battery in, I don't know. All I did was set the microphone down and I said, ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me without the mic? And they could. There was only a few hundred people in the room. But I raised my voice in a way that for some reason it carried, and everyone enjoyed my speech without a microphone for an hour. It was hard on my voice, but I practiced that kind of thing just in case it ever happens. All I'm saying is to be adaptable is important. And in fact, after that presentation, I had multiple people come up to me and say, we'd love to have you at our event because we can't believe how well you handled that. That will lead to more opportunities when you're adaptable and you play along. Crafting compelling content is another important part of being a public speaker. Sharing a story, giving examples through story is such a fun thing because now somebody's in it with you. You create characters, you have a start and a middle and an end. All of these pieces add up to being able to drive your points home. The best speakers are the best storytellers. So if you can find a way to do some funny in there and to be dramatic and to have some emotion, a great story can move any audience. It's a great way to be a speaker. When it comes to what is public speaking, which is such a cool question, I like to talk about mastering your delivery. When we master our delivery, it doesn't just mean the way that we say it, although the structure of a speech is very important. To have content and to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, that's very important. Sometimes I've even said it because I've heard it through the years. 3 points in a poem. That's a simple way to structure a speech if you're trying to figure out how to do it. What is 3 points in a poem? Well, you just have 3 things that you want to tell them and then you end it with a poem. Preachers have been doing this for years. You might also be able to just change that around a little bit and say 3 stories and a point. Oftentimes, I'll only tell 1 point and share a bunch of different stories to support that. Other times, I don't have to worry so much about my words because my body says what needs to be said. When I tell a story, I can utilize my hands, I can pace, I can move. Remember, nonverbal communication means a lot. And so as a public speaker, it's not just about what you say, it's also about what you say with your body. When it's not saying anything at all, your voice, your body speaks quite loudly. So your gestures need to match up with what you're talking about. And equally, you want to make sure that everybody understands that you command the stage with your poise, your presence, the way that you use your face, your mouth, your body. It says quite a bit in a nonverbal communication way. Practicing and rehearsing is also important as a public speaker. If you're one of the types that thinks, oh, I can just wing it, please don't be a winger. Nobody wants to hear the winger. It's very rare that a winger is good at it. Practice the speech, not to the point that you feel you need to memorize it, but rather you know the direction you're headed. It's okay to have notes on stage. That's, like I said, all right. But to practice is to make sure that you know which direction you're going and to be able to have a couple of words that, or phrases or quotes that you know you're going to land. And so practicing could either be in your hotel room prior to the speech or practicing with some friends just in a small group just to get through it. The more reps you put in, the easier it's going to be. It's the same reason that basketball players shoot free throws at the end of practice. Every single practice. Why? Because when it comes to the game being on the line, if you're at the free throw line, you don't want to think. You want to be automatic. When you practice something, it becomes something of an auto way of doing it. And so you don't need to worry about thinking about the free throw. You don't need to worry about the words. You just say them and say them well because you've practiced enough. I would recommend also with the practice, not just in front of people, but you can record it. Yeah, turn on that video camera. Put your camera up or your phone somewhere where you can see how you deliver it, see your face. Watch it without the audio to see if your body matches up with what you're saying. Also, just listen to it. You can record the audio. Go over it a few different times and see how it feels, if the pacing is right, if you're speaking too quickly or if you're speaking too slowly. If your voice is too high and you need to lower it to a place that feels more comfortable. There's all types of techniques with your vocal tonality, with the speed, all the different things you can do within practice that's helpful to record. The truth of the matter is that speaking is fun. A lot of people don't think about it that way, but it truly can be such a rush to get up on stage and deliver a speech and to give something to people that they're not expecting. When you think about the audience, that they are the ones that you're there for, then you'll forget about the fear you have in yourself as a speaker. Also, on the other side of that, if you're too confident, it will also come across as cocky. We don't want that as an audience either. So come at this in a humble way, but also with enough pride to put in the time and the practice. Every single speaker has something that makes them unique. You have something that makes you extraordinary in what you do, and you're the only one that can do it. When I teach this to speakers, they don't realize that they have signature moves that people want to see. Just like an artist, if you went to their concert and they didn't play their greatest song, you'd be disappointed. The truth is, you also have signature moves as well. That's what you're going to discover as a speaker. People will love your stories, or people will love your data. Maybe the expertise you have and the research you've done. Maybe it's the cool slides you've created, or it's a song you insert, or some comedy, or some stories. Your signature moves will start to come out the more you speak. I want to give you a fast track to that. If you want to go to jasonhewlett.com/ICM. Go get the ICM process because that will help you uncover your signature moves for yourself. When you identify what makes you great, clarify it with others, and magnify your promise to the world, you're the only one who can deliver the speech like you will. And that, my friend, is public speaking.